The wealthiest country in the world is an obvious choice of anyone to reside, raise a family, and retire. In this video we let you know how these countries became so rich. But what makes countries rich? Have you ever wondered? Stay tuned to know amazing facts about the richest countries in the world. Without a doubt, culture is the #1 reason for the wealth of some of the top countries in the world. It's a common misconception that all the richest countries are solely motivated by the desire to make money. Some of those countries have amassed their wealth from very different sources. The top 10 richest countries in the world list is based on the gross national income per capita. This is a list of the countries with the highest GNI per capita in the world. To create the list, the World Bank provides a set of criteria that countries must meet to be considered. These criteria include having a market or manufacturing economy, having a high level of development, having a stable democratic government, and having a low level of income inequality. Before moving towards our top 10 richest countries in the world, let's have a look at top countries that earns from or spends money on what resources. Top country that earns from natural resources in 2023. Statista estimates that Russia's natural resource reserves are worth US $75 trillion. This amount includes, but is not limited to, coal, oil, natural gas, gold, wood and rare earth metals. According to the latest statistics, Russia has the world's largest natural gas reserves at 1.32 quadrillion cubic feet, which is nearly 20% of global total. Russia has the world's second largest gold reserves at 6,800 tons, or more than 12% of the world's total. Russia is the world's third largest crude oil producer, accounting for 12% of global supply. It has an estimated 107.8 billion barrels of oil reserves, the sixth largest in the world. For industrial diamonds, Russia accounts for 1/3 of global production and 61% of the commodities reserves. Top country that has highest military expenditure in 2023. The United States single-handedly spends more on national military defense than other top spending countries. China, India, Russia, United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, Germany, France, Japan, and South Korea combined. The USA topped the list, spending $801 billion to contribute almost 38% of global military spending. United States has been on top of the list of military spending nations since SIPRI began tracking in 1949, contributing to more than 30% of the world's military expenses for the last 2 decades. It is interesting to know that U.S. military spending is increasing year over year by more than $22.3 billion United States dollars. And the country's total for 2023 is estimated more than every other country in the top 10 combined. Top country that earns from tourism in 2023. The Dominican Republic leads in foreign tourist arrivals, but the United States leads in tourism revenue per annum. The United States has the highest revenue from tourism, over $210 billion annually. However, this huge number represents only 1.1% of the country's total GDP. According to Mobility Market Statistics estimates, hotel revenue in the United States will reach approximately $150.4 billion United States dollars next year. China and Germany follow the states in second place and third place respectively, with expected revenues of about $140.6 billion and $47.93 billion respectively. Top country that earns from manufacturing in 2023. According to data published by the United Nations Statistics Division, China accounted for 28.7% of global manufacturing output. That puts China more than 10% ahead of the United States, which used to have the world's largest manufacturing sector until China overtook it in 2010. With total value added by the Chinese manufacturing sector amounting to almost $4 trillion. Manufacturing accounted for nearly 30% of the country's total economic output. The US economy is much less reliant on manufacturing these days. In recent years, the manufacturing sector accounted for just over 15% of US GDP. Top country that earns from agriculture in 2023. China occupies only 10% of the world's arable land and produces a quarter of the world's cereal production. China is a leader in agricultural production of fruits, vegetables, grains, cotton, eggs and poultry. However, wheat, rice and corn are the three major crops, and these three crops account for more than 90% of China's production. China is the world leader in agricultural production, supplying about 50% of the world consumption. In 2019, China overtook the US and the European Union to become the world's leading exports in agriculture production, with exports of $133.1 billion. Top country to invest in technology in 2023. Digital technologies are an essential part of owning a business in the 21st century. And it was recently estimated that 70% of businesses already have a digital transformation strategy. The United States is the country that invests the most in digital technology and invests the most money in each category worldwide. US invests the most in AI, artificial intelligence, and the country's investments in AI have surpassed $129 billion in total to date. Top country for oil production in 2023. America is the world's largest oil producer. Recent production has increased by 266,000 barrels of oil per day from 2020 levels to 18,875,000 barrels of oil per day. The United States has been called a swing producer because its output fluctuates according to market prices. Texas is the largest oil-producing state in the United States, producing nearly 4 times as much oil as New Mexico, the second-largest oil-producing state. The United States is not only the biggest oil-producing country, but also the most oil-consuming country. Last year, the U.S. consumed a total of 7.22 billion barrels of petroleum products, that's an average of about 19.78 million barrels of oil per day. Now, it's time for what you have been waiting for. The top 10 richest country in the world by GDP. Number 10. South Korea. South Korea was considered a developing country until the 1960s. Extensive economic reforms have enabled the country to enter a period of rapid growth. It had about 10% annual growth over last 3 decades. Today, South Korea's GDP is about $2 trillion, and it's one of the most developed and industrialized countries in the world. South Korea GDP nominal is recorded to be $1.63 trillion. GDP per capita, $30,644 and GDP, purchasing power parity, $2.29 trillion. Number 9. Canada. Canada makes its way to 9th richest country in the world. With its GDP nominal, $1.64 trillion, GDP per capita, $42,080 and GDP, purchasing power parity, $1.81 trillion. Canada has a mainly service-based economy. Canada also have extensive trade relationships with many countries through bilateral and regional free trade agreements, FTAs. Highly educated workforce, multicultural, multilingual community, thriving economy, and government support for setting up business make Canada a preferred investment destination. Number 8. Italy. Italy's economy is the 3rd largest in the Eurozone and the 8th largest by GDP in the world. In addition to its sizable economy, Italy is one of the most influential countries in Europe. It is a key member of the Eurozone, EU, the G7, the OECD, and the G20. Italy's diversified economic growth is propelled by the consumer goods industry, resulting its GDP nominal, $1.88 trillion, GDP per capita, $30,657 and GDP, purchasing power parity, $2.42 trillion. Number 7. France. France is the 7th largest economy in the world. It is the most visited destination in the world and consequently has a thriving tourism industry. Also, foreign trade is an essential component of its economy. The value of imports and exports comprise 63% of the country's GDP. Strong protection of property rights and an efficient regulatory framework encourage investors. France ranks 32 in the World Bank's 2019 Ease of Doing Business Index. France GDP nominal, $2.63 trillion, GDP per capita, $39,257 and GDP, purchasing power parity, $2.95 trillion. Number 6. India. With GDP nominal, $2.66 trillion, GDP per capita, $1,877 and GDP, purchasing power parity, $8.68 trillion. India ranks 6th in the world as the richest country. India has thriving manufacturing, technology, and service sectors. Since 2014, the rate of foreign direct investment, FDI, inflows to India has grown steadily as some key policy changes were incorporated by the government to facilitate this growth. This makes India one of the top countries by GDP in recent years. Number 5. United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is the 5th largest economy in the world and the 2nd largest in Europe in terms of GDP. The UK ranks high in the annual Global Competitiveness Reports and the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business rankings. UK records GDP nominal, $2.76 trillion, GDP per capita, $39,229 and GDP, purchasing power parity, $2.98 trillion. Number 4. Germany. Germany has the 4th largest GDP in the world. The total value of exports and imports is equal to 86.9% of GDP. Germany is a European nation with the biggest drivers of its economy being its service industries, including telecommunication, healthcare, and tourism. Germany is ranked number 1 in the world for entrepreneurship due to its skilled labor force, highly developed infrastructure, and technological expertise. That leads to its GDP nominal, $3.85 trillion, GDP per capita, $45,466 and GDP, purchasing power parity, $4.45 trillion. Number 3. Japan. The land of rising sun has the world's 3rd largest economy by nominal GDP and the 4th largest economy by purchasing power parity. Latest record shows its GDP nominal, $5.06 trillion, GDP per capita, $39,048 and GDP, purchasing power parity, $5.24 trillion. Ranked as one of most innovative countries in the world, Japan is the world's largest electronic goods producer and the 3rd largest automobile manufacturer. The country's workforce is highly qualified and skilled, proving to be instrumental in organizational growth. All of these factors contribute to Japan being one of the top countries by GDP. Number 2. China. The Chinese economy, one of the fastest growing economies of the 21st century, now ranked as the 2nd largest economy in the world, is currently valued at a GDP of $14.86 trillion. GDP nominal, $14.86 trillion, GDP per capita, $10,434 and GDP, purchasing power parity, $17.24 trillion. The country is playing an increasingly influential role in the global economy. It has been the largest contributor to global growth since the 2008 financial crisis. Number 1. United States. The top position is occupied by none other than the powerhouse of the world, United States of America. Many factors contribute to America's success. An entrepreneurial environment that encourages hard work and long hours certainly helps. But decentralized government, progressive research universities and favorable regulatory frameworks also contribute to this. The United States will probably always be one of the top countries by GDP in the world. Its GDP nominal, $20.89 trillion, GDP per capita, $63,413 and GDP, purchasing power parity, $20.89 trillion. Here we have it, folks. Hope you loved this video. Enjoy your morning, day or night wherever you are. Catch you in the next one.